welcome in live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe, leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. Become a diehard. Shop the number 18 collection at PHNX.com. I'm Johnny Venerable, joined as always live from Studio K, Mr. Bo Brack, Damon, Dawg, producer extraordinaire behind the mic. Fellas, how we living?
We're living well out here in the Valley of the Sun. Sun's about to draft in the NBA draft. I'm kind of a little jelly. I know we had our epic draft night. I just wish it could be like every month. I wish the NFL draft happened more often. But we're going to have to just, settle for the Arizona Cardinals having a month off and then getting to training camp less than a month away from today. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, the NFL, in its attempt to overtake the NBA in full capacity, they already took away Christmas Day. They can't have Christmas gifts, the NBA. They should pause the NFL draft about midway through and then stop for the better part of 6 weeks and then pick back up the night of the NBA draft. Like, we should be having coverage right now of day 3 of the NFL draft for the first time since late April. That would be very poetic, I think. Cardinals on the clock tonight, pick 104.
That's right. They get 4 picks in the third round. It'd be glorious, right? And what a cliffhanger! What a cliffhanger that would be.
I mean, especially when you consider the last pick they had would have been Tip Raymond, and I would have had to stew over that for almost 2 months before pick 104 would have gone down. But
it's like your favorite series had a horrible season finale, and you're just left there waiting until they pick back up.
It's like Star Wars: The Last Jedi, and we had to wait 2 or 3 more years for another bad movie.
It took us how long for you to get into that nerd talk?
That's what the off season's for. But again, check out Suns draft coverage happening tonight. We're fired up about that. Phoenix Suns, what kind of moves they're going to make. What about the Arizona Cardinals making moves, making comments? Trey McBride, of course, met with the media yesterday, Bo, and you and the rest of our Phoenix cronies. He made a comment that I think has gained a little bit of traction over the course of the last 17, 18 hours. Mm-hmm. It's about 1K1 re-entering the MVP conversation. What do you make of that?
It was after his availability with the local media. He jumped on with the NFL Network's insiders, which is Tom Pelissero, friend of the program, Omar Ruiz, and they were talking with Trey McBride about the hype of this team. And they did about, 4 to 5 minutes with him. And the final question from Pelissero was, okay, Trey, give us your elevator pitch for Kyler Murray, NFL MVP. And Trey McBride had a couple little nuggets that he dropped, basically saying, he's never been this motivated before. He's never seen him this motivated. And he's as confident as Trey has seen him as he enters his 3rd season in the organization. So just a couple nuggets there on top of what we told everybody yesterday with his availability with us, where he was talking about the offense is, I'm paraphrasing, light years from where it was last year, where they were entering a new offense under Drew Petzing, but they're not making the same mistakes. It's not taking as long to get the play and everybody out there, on the same page. They're on the same page. They're in rhythm. It's an offense that is emphasis on timing. And I think guys like Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, James Conner, along with their quarterback, Kyler Murray, are poised to hit the ground running come training camp, preseason, and the regular season.
We talked about that 2021 season. We weren't doing the show together. Breaks my heart, right? But Kyler Murray was the MVP frontrunner for 7 weeks of the season. And while it's a very different time, everything really has changed outside of K1 himself, Michael Bidwell and company. Like, everything else is different. Head coach, roster construction, thank goodness, the general manager. But if you think back to what Kyler Murray did that year, they were 7-0, and he was easily, we had, checking the sports books daily. I think it was almost even money he was going to be the MVP at that point. Mm-hmm. And he was having the Lamar Jackson kind of renaissance. 20 touchdowns through 7 games that year, starting 7-0, 17 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, just 3, as the team had just beaten Houston 31-5 and started 7-0. And then, of course, what happened next? Green Bay Packers come into town, beat Kyler Murray and company. Kyler Murray gets injured, doesn't play again until Chicago. So again, it was derailed in large part because of injury. Because I think if Kyler Murray comes back after that Packer game, I think he continues the momentum. I certainly think they win the division, but I think that's where the conversation starts. You want to win the MVP, you got to, even more so than statistics, rack up wins. It's what Lamar Jackson did last year. Go look at Lamar Jackson's MVP season from a year ago. 24 touchdowns. Now, he had a bunch of rushing touchdowns, modest passing numbers, but the team was the number 1 seed in the AFC. That's what got it.
Yeah, it was pedestrian. I mean, it was one of the more pedestrian number-wise seasons we've seen from a quarterback in the last 10 years. And I was punching the numbers, and it absolutely backs up your point as far as the wins. Like that's the number one thing that has to happen for Kyler Murray to enter the MVP conversation is the Arizona Cardinals need a win, and they need to win a lot. Like Kyler Murray can have an unbelievable season statistically, but if the Arizona Cardinals are just on the, knocking on the door of the postseason at 9, 10, 11 wins, I don't think that he gets serious consideration for most valuable player. Like, and I think also, given like the perfect storm, I think unfortunately Kyler Murray winning an MVP, it would take even more Herculean effort than most would believe. Mm-hmm. And, obviously like 3 things need to happen, right? You've got the wins, as you pointed out, and it's like around 13 wins over the last 10 seasons on average from MVPs in the NFL. And then, of course, those big inflated numbers, as you said, like Lamar Jackson had 24 passing touchdowns in 5 rushing touchdowns, so 29 total touchdowns. But it's usually like you got to approach like 40 total tutties to be in the MVP conversation, or at least that's where it's been on average statistically over the last 10 years. But then it's going to come down to the voters. And I think even Lamar Jackson's a bit polarizing himself, and Aaron Rodgers obviously isn't without controversy, and he's what, a 3-time MVP, but he's entered that conversation so often that I think even with all the the criticism that Rodgers gets himself into off the field, people would, if he put up statistically a big season and the Jets were in the playoff picture and one of the best teams in the AFC, people would not hesitate to vote for Aaron Rodgers, where I don't think the same can be said about Kyler Murray. Like, people have their own preconceived notions, and it's mostly wrong, right? A lot of the things that follow Kyler Murray are based off the previous regime and reports that were out there that nobody's ever kind of validated. And Kyler Murray, it's going to take more than his team having success, unfortunately, and him having success for him to really enter the conversation realistically for the MVP because of what, the voters believe him to be, even though it's probably wrong.
And which is ridiculous. And it's a detriment to the game itself, because I think a lot of people, scoff at Kyler Murray's stature. I think Kyler Murray succeeding is good for the NFL. Just like Steph Curry succeeding is good for the NBA. Like, you want to allow young people the opportunity, and the NFL's got all shapes and sizes. But if you're a young, aspiring quarterback in a JFL league, or in, a freshman in high school, and you're 5'9", 5'10", you watch Kyler Murray win an MVP and win playoff games, it's good for the brand. I'm sorry. Like, it just is. Not everybody is 6'5", 245 pounds. And I just feel like what Kyler Murray is able to do on the field translates the game itself. And to do that, coupled with the fact that he is undersized, him winning an MVP would be fantastic for the league if they would embrace it. I think they would eventually. I think this season, I do think it's a year too early to have this conversation. Like, I think Kyler Murray himself is in for a big statistical year, and that's going to be enough to vault the Cardinals into the playoffs. I'm steadfast in that opinion. I think he's going to have a Pro Bowl level season, and the Cardinals are going to enter the equation as a wild card team. But shit, Bo, like, Brock Purdy was the MVP frontrunner until like a month left of the season. Well, why was that? That team was loaded, absolutely stacked. Brock Purdy wasn't the most valuable player. He was the quarterback of the number 1 roster in the NFL, and the team that at that point had won the most games until he got exposed by Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and clearly was not in the same league as Lamar Jackson. So it's a popularity contest, yes, but it's also a reflection who is orchestrating and conducting the best roster in the NFL. Who's doing this, right? The year Carson Palmer didn't win the award, it was only because Cam Newton was right there ahead of him, leading the best team in the NFC with the Carolina Panthers. Otherwise, Carson Palmer was largely the favorite. I remember in 2008, before the Arizona Cardinals plummeted that year and barely finished at 9-7, Kurt Warner was the presumed MVP favorite. The league wanted to give it to Kurt Warner, and then the Cardinals collapsed as a team. They still won the West, so they threw another one to Peyton Manning. So I think the Cardinals, again, ceiling this year is about 10 wins, playoff spot, wild card team. Then you get to next offseason, you get another draft class, you get some big swings in free agency, you go into next year, maybe a better version of Houston this offseason, and you put yourself in a position where Kyler Murray is orchestrating a team just out of the postseason, and now he can build upon, hopefully, a full 17-game season.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think and this is not anything that I think Kyler Murray should have to do. I think that he's going against things that were out of his control, that he would have had to kind of do some out of character things to prevent from happening. Like he's kind of keeps to himself. He's a private guy. So when mudslinging is happening in the public arena, like he's not going to go to his own aid. And unfortunately, his organization, back when the Cardinals were relevant in that 2021 season, were led by Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury. And, Kyler Murray, like if the Cardinals do win 10 games or in the playoff picture, Kyler Murray has a great season. It lays the groundwork for, yes, MVP candidacy in 2025, because it opens some eyes and it also changes the narrative around the quarterback that people had wrong. Like they're going to start if Kyler Murray goes out there and balls out and the Cardinals win football games because of it, people are going, oh, you know what? We're wrong about Kyler Murray. What Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort and everybody around the organization, the facility, what they're saying about, that's who this guy is. That's the true player that Kyler Murray is. It's not this person that we had already decided is not a great leader, is not a good teammate. All he wants to do is play video games. Like that's all either it was wrong or a thing of the past.
And that's going to take a season to be able to get through it.
I mean, winning cures everything. Winning cures everything. That's
not going to happen in September and October because a lot of people would say, well, we've seen this before. Cardinals get off to a fast start. Kyler Murray and this Arizona Cardinal team, by hook or by crook, need to win games in November, December, January. And it's something that not only Kyler Murray, but this franchise has had a very difficult time doing. Kyler Murray's had a tough time just because he hasn't been healthy as the years go by. Outside of Carson Palmer and Kurt Warner, there have not been any Cardinal quarterbacks when you turn the calendar to the postseason or near the postseason when you have to win big boy football games has been able to get it done for this franchise. I think, again, that's not an indictment of Kyler Murray.
Did win one playoff game.
He did. Once upon a time. Yes, many years ago. Kyler Murray went into Dallas Stadium and secured him a playoff spot a couple years ago. People forget that. But outside of that, I mean, it's the war of attrition for this team, staying healthy, being viable, surviving the first 8 games, which are a gauntlet. Like, I do think, like, I'm fired up for the start of this season. I'm fired up to prove doubters wrong, this team to prove the haters wrong. I don't think it's going to be instantaneous, though. I think we're going to have some post-game shows that you and I and Britton Golden and Damon Dawg do where it's going to be difficult, and this team's going to have to battle and scratch and claw their way out. And then I think things will eventually turn as you get more of the younger players' exposure. Of course, another season under Drew Petzing for Kyler Murray. That doesn't mean I don't think they can win games early, but you'd be crazy to not think that the best opportunity for them to stack wins is after Halloween. And so it could take a little bit for this team to get going.
Yeah. Statistically, I want people to see, what Kyler Murray would have to do. And I took the average from the last 10 seasons, and they've all been quarterbacks for the NFL MVP, what he would have to do statistically. Damon Dawg, can we see that? What the averages are for the NFL MVP? So your team would need to win. It was 12.9 wins. So you've got 13 wins the Cardinals would have to get on average.
Okay.
Then total yards. This is rushing and passing yards combined, right around 4,700. So Kyler Murray, he's done that before. He's gotten that before. So his career high in passing yards in 2020 was 3,900. And then rushing, he had over 800. So he's right around 4,700 total yards. And then total touchdowns, he's come close. In 2020, he had 26 passing touchdowns and 11 rushing touchdowns. So he had, he's like 4 short of the average there. And then turnovers, fumbles lost, and picks thrown, it's right around 10. So you have to do a really good job and take care of the football. Now, like Aaron Rodgers had some really stupid, crazy seasons where he only had like 4 picks and like a fumble lost. Kind of skews those numbers. And Patrick Mahomes, the guy pictured here, had some big gaudy numbers as well as far as touchdown passes. But this is just kind of a sample of what it would look like for Kyler Murray to do that. So his team's won 11 games before, so he's going to have to win more games than he's ever won. He's been right around the total yardage. He's been right around the total touchdowns, and he takes care of the football pretty well. I mean, he only had 5 picks last year. His career high for interceptions is 12. So I think statistically, Kyler Murray, with your point of him being healthy, can easily get to these numbers.
We've seen it. Like if you here's what the haters don't want to believe. Take Kyler Murray's career average in terms of total yardage and total touchdowns per game, and it's right around a 2.5 to 1 ratio with a lot of yards. Now, not all of them are through the air, and you project that out over 17 weeks. Now, again, he's got to do it. He has got to be healthy for the large majority of the season. Like the number one rule of MVP is you got to be available for your teammates, right? We're not just stacking Pro Bowl berths here that are largely earned when the fan voting starts before Thanksgiving. Like you got to be healthy and ready to go all year. So I would think the baseline somewhere around those numbers, Bowen, I think they would have to win the NFC West. Yeah. And I think, again, a lot of that takes care of itself because if you're putting up those numbers, you're likely winning games. Right. Having a monster statistical season typically leads to going to the playoffs. So
I think the Cardinals' schedule makes it pretty tough for this to happen.
That was one of the points I was going to make. Like if the Arizona Cardinals somehow, Damon, come out of the gates and they've got all these 2023 playoff teams outside of Washington in their first 6 games, and they say they go 4-2.
Yeah, now we're the conversation.
What if they go 5-3 through the 8 games? Here, do we have the schedule?
If they go 4-2 in their first 6 games, I mean that completely changes how many wins they can get total, because the end of the season they can really stack some wins. So if all right,
so let's do this hypothetically because it's June and we're allowed to do this. All right, let's say they start the year, the first 4 games. Let's say they start 3-1. They drop either Detroit, LA, or Buffalo. They beat Washington. They lose to San Francisco. Okay, so they're 3-2. They beat the Packers. They beat the Chargers. And then we're going into the game again in Miami that we'll be at. They beat the Dolphins. So what would that give them? They would be 6-2 to start the year.
Yeah.
I mean, even 5-3. Let's say they drop one of those other games.
They're 6-2 with that start to the schedule. That's a ton of noise that they would have made.
When would you say, what would the barometer need to be? They go into that Bears game post-Halloween for Kyler Murray to remain in MVP consideration. He'd probably have to remain around 500, correct?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you hover around 500 for the first nearly 10 weeks of the season and get true consideration.
I don't know. I'll push back on that a little bit because last year the MVP favorite changed 6-7 times.
Right. Like Johnny was saying, it was Brack and then Lamar Jackson.
Well, yeah, it was a lot of different people. Yeah. It was, Tua at a certain point. A lot of
Stroud was in the consideration at one point. I think can you get to Miami? Can you be 500 after that game in Miami? Whatever that looks like. Go into the Chicago matchup at home. Kyler Murray's healthy, and say to yourself, could we stack 7 wins in the back half of the season? Could we stack double-digit wins by the time we get to Carolina?
By Carolina they get 7 wins.
We're 4-4, so yeah, they'd have to. I mean, who had them winning 8 straight in the second half? I mean, that'd be asking a lot.
It would be you'd have to have a ridiculous stretch where each and every week, people are talking about the Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray.
Here's another thing that's going to work against them that we talk about seemingly every show. Outside of our peeps right here in the Greater Valley area, no one is going to watch this team because they're not on national TV. Unless you're watching Sunday Ticket and you're flipping over to, a late kickoff or an early kickoff, this team is not going to get the benefit of the doubt, because until that sweet ESPN Plus game, ain't nobody going to watch this team unless they're playing their team at home, right? They're not promptly displayed like the fraudulent Jets. The Niners are on national TV every week. Like, right or wrong, that skews votes. And so they would have to do some serious, it's like me at the gym, some serious flexing in the second half of the season to be able to get that upward momentum for Kyler Murray that he would need. But
I forgot about Jalen Hurts too. He was the favorite through halfway through the season last year, and he was averaging about 200 passing yards per game. And it was pretty much solely because of the tush push and the record that the Eagles had. So like,
and then what happened?
I mean, I'm just goes to show how much it changes throughout the course of a season, or how much it could change.
And then Big Dom got suspended and the wheels fell off in Philly.
I remember they beat Kansas City in Kansas City. I'm like, oh shit, they're going to.
But that's the game in Philly. Kyler, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was just doing it all.
He is capable. Like, people scoff. We put that tweet out. What can Kyler Murray do to re-engage in the conversation? People scoff at that. It's like, no, man, like he's number 1 pick.
Right.
I've seen him do things that no other Cardinal quarterback has ever done. He's got an ability bigger than Baker Mayfield, number 1 pick. I think bigger than Trevor Lawrence, number 1 pick. Like, it is within his skill set to put up the best season of a quarterback in the NFL. But you can't do it by yourself.
The least a team has won and a quarterback has won MVP in the last 10 years is 11 games. So I think that's the cutoff right there. You're not getting any hardware for a 9-win season, 10-win season. 10-7 doesn't get you there, because they'll say, well, what happened against the Niners, or what happened in the game against the Dolphins?
But again, like, if the award was truly on its merit of what it is, there's not going to be a more valuable player to their team than Kyler Murray, you would argue. If he's putting up big numbers and they're scratching and clawing to compete, what if I saw this Cardinal team, now it's got Marvin, some new pieces, without Kyler Murray last year. Guess what?
That. But the people who were voting, sure as shit they didn't.
Well, yeah, that's our point. Yeah. But like, that's not the award.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold is probably pretty comparable to Brock Purdy in a lot of instances. We know that, right? Brock Purdy then goes out there and he's just throwing hospital balls, and you got Debo and Ayuk catching off people's helmets, and it's just McCaffrey's 3,000 total yards from scrimmage. It's like Purdy's the MVP. It's like, turn your brain on. What are you watching? But Kyler Murray could have a great statistical year, and with the Cardinals' shortcomings defensively, win 9-10 games.
Right.
Like, to me, that's valuable. That's value, 100%.
Right. Well, they'll discount it. They'll be like, oh, look who arrived, Marvin Harrison Jr. Oh, and Trey McBride is now established, and James Conner, he's always been a good back. And
that Niner team, that was the most stacked offensive skill player I've ever seen in the history of the NFL. And they were like, we're going to give it to Brock Purdy. It was a joke. It was disgusting to watch coverage every week.
Did you see Brack? Did you see him? And it's like, he went out there and he managed the game. Yeah, he did a good job running Kyle Shanahan's offense. Like, bravo, that's great.
Keep the train on the tracks, man.
Yeah.
Good Lord. I'll tell you who keeps it on the tracks, takes it up a notch, and helps me level up my financial acumen. My friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. Okay, they're not overrated. In fact, they're underrated. And I'm going to tell you right now, for more than 84 years, Desert Financial, who, by the way, is the official credit union of the Arizona Cardinals, PHNX Sports, and the Venerable household. Well, they've been creating exceptional experiences by giving back to this community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. And again, it's not a transaction. It's not a one-off, right? Real people tailoring financial solutions to help you, real people, achieve your financial goals and dreams. And again, on top of that, if you want a checking account, they can do that. They can check that box for you. They also have savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Again, it's the only place you can show your team spirit with the Arizona Cardinals Rep the Red Sea with the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. I've got it. I love it. I get compliments on it on the reg, and you can too. Just open up a free checking account online. Get an Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card today. Visit desertfinancial.com/Cardinals, Bo, to get started.
If you were going to maybe a Diamondbacks game, you're going to see stand-up comedy, you're going to see a concert, hold on that ticket stuff, because you can check in right now to the best deal this summer over at Illegal Pete's. It's their sound check deal. We all know about Illegal Pete's. It's already got the best burrito bowls, tacos, piping hot queso that you can find in the Valley, plus patio beers and margs. You can't beat that either. But how about a penny adult beverage with your purchase of an entree? Yeah, check that out right now at Illegal Pete's. They've got the strongest margarita in Arizona. They got those beautiful, delicious custom cocktails and beers. And Illegal Pete's has that sound check deal right now where you can get a draft beer or house margarita for just a penny with the purchase of an adult entree. Do not miss out on this. Got you covered for all your game day needs. Find out your closest location, illegalpete's.com. It's Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer.
Our buddy Craig Morgan jumping on to join us now. Craig, the official beat reporter of PHNX Cardinals. He's had a banner week, so he's joining us. He's got a new article dropping now, available for your benefit at gophnx.com on Greg Dortch. But I'm gonna table that for a second here. You broke the news earlier this week that a certain Coyotes owner is out. And I feel like I ask you this every single time you're on with us, Craig, and I'm going to continue to do so. How much does the Arizona sports landscape now, with everything going on with the Coyotes, need the Arizona Cardinals to step up? Please step up, because I feel like every time I see Craig on a local program, national, or on PHNX Sports, it's just like, yeah, actually, don't expect the Roadrunners to be around much longer. Alex Morello, get out. And it's just like, Cardinals, look at this. This is an opportunity for you to take that fandom and help them out by winning games. Am I wrong?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, do you guys actually want me around? Because
of course,
yes, good tidings where I go. I mean, I'm pulling teams left and right here.
We're giving you the fun stories. You're like, oh, I'm back in the toy department. I can cover Greg Dortch. That's a great story of his rise. Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray. Like, there's some good things going around this organization that we're not exactly used to. But yeah, I mean, to piggyback Johnny's question is like, this is a huge opportunity for this Cardinals team to maybe kind of take advantage of the sports market being a little bit down elsewhere.
No question. This market needs something good to feel good about. Coyotes fans need something to feel good about. So maybe we can bring them all aboard here now with Cardinals. By the way, this is the best you get for the background today. I'm probably in violation of the company rules here today, but it's been that kind of week. So,
it's better than Bo's laundry room. We can say
that. Yeah, we have a low bar on this show.
All right. I think I can fit in here then.
It's the off season. We can get nuts here. We can do what we want. But you've got an article right now available to read. I would encourage everybody to read it. It's on our guy Greg Dortch. And it's funny, Craig, like we were around Greg Dortch a lot last year. He's a part of PHNX Sports programming. And then yet Bo made a comment to me recently on air basically saying like Greg Dortch's media availability, what was it, last week? It felt like we learned more about Greg and he was his truest self now as compared to last year. Did you kind of get that sense?
Well, I didn't have perspective on that, right? Like you guys have been around him so much. He's in studio. And I said afterward, wow, he was amazing. And Bo looked at me. He was like, yeah, that's the best I've ever heard. He told us so much stuff. I was like, okay, cool. But it feels like that's part of what he was conveying in the story that I wrote is that he's so excited for this opportunity. And as he said, he worked his ass off to get to this place. He's been in the league a long time. A couple of those years, nobody even knew it because he wasn't playing. He was on a practice squad and maybe returning a couple kicks for Carolina, but he just wasn't getting much opportunity. But he's busted his hump. It was really fun to reach out to the Wake Forest coach. And I didn't know what I was going to get. You never know, right? I have no relationship with Kevin Higgins, who was their associate head coach and the wide receivers coach. And I get on the phone with him, and he's from Jersey, first of all. He's coaching at Wake Forest. I didn't expect that. And I got this Jersey accent on the other line. And then I asked the first question, and he gives me this unbelievable anecdote, which ends up being the lead of my story. And I thanked him. He's like, I've talked to a few reporters before, Craig. I know what you're looking for. So it's just like, okay, this guy's going to be great.
Yeah.
But I love I'm sure you guys have already read it, but the story of that drill where the shake and bake drill, where it's basically half a field. You're between the 10 and the goal line, and you got to run to the sideline. You score if you get to the sideline. And all the DB has to do is tag you. He doesn't have to take you down. He literally just has to touch you. And Kevin Higgins was like, nobody could touch him. He just put a juke on him. These guys would go to the ground. So they call in, the guys that they have under scholarship, because Dortch is still there at a camp. He's not even under scholarship at this point. They're just getting a look at him. Their scholarship guys can't touch him. But now all the vets are gathered around the field just loving what they're seeing. And, of course, Greg Dortch earned himself a scholarship probably out of that camp right there.
It's crazy because I did some research before we did the all-purpose podcast with Dortch, and we played some of his high school clips and how dominating he was at his, size at 5'7", and him just going out there. And Virginia has some really high-level football out there, and he was just on both sides of the football, on offense and defense, and of course special teams in the return game. It looked very similar. It translates to what we're seeing right now and where Greg Dortch is having success on the football field for the Arizona Cardinals at the NFL level. It really is crazy. But when we talk about where he was confident, like Greg, did you get the sense that this is probably the most comfortable he probably could be during his career? Because before that, like nothing was given to him. Like he had nothing set as far as a roster spot or anything. We're not talking about first team reps. We're talking about just cracking a 53-man roster.
Yeah, and he knows that nothing's given to him still, but he is penciled in as the starter in the slot. And it helps when your quarterback comes out and says what Kyler said about him. If he's 6'3", he's a top 5 pick in this league, and I'll go to war with Greg any day. That's got to help your confidence. And as he said, too, he's putting in so much work away from the field. That's the stuff that he says gives him the most confidence, the work he's doing that people don't see. So it's a great opportunity for Greg Dortch right now. We're going to have Drew Petzing available tomorrow. One of the questions I want to ask, and listen, this is a problem, I guess. It's a good problem to have, but how do you distribute the ball? How are you going to find enough touches for the weapons that you have on this offense? I'm really curious about that.
It's a great question. We talk about it seemingly every day. Who's going to get fed? And we know Marv's going to get his, and we feel pretty good about Michael Wilson. But then we're talking about Trey McBride yesterday saying, I can hit 1,000 yards. It's just like, where are these yardage coming from? I do think a good portion's coming to Greg Dortch, Craig. And it's funny, like, I was not the biggest Rondale Moore fan during his time here. He was hurt a lot, and I really did not feel like he was a winning player for this team on NFL Sundays. Yet the Cardinals and Steve Keim and all his wisdom, it was like, let's try to make him inevitably what Greg Dortch, I think, is on the verge of becoming. And not only has Greg Dortch seemingly taken that role from Rondale Moore, he took his number. Like that to me is one of the more fascinating aspects is like Rondale Moore was traded for a backup quarterback. Now he's in Atlanta. He's a depth player in Atlanta. And in a matter of probably a quarter and a half of a season last year, Greg Dortch is like, I'm taking your role and I'm taking your number. That to me says everything I need to know about the competitor this guy is. And I know it's a coincidence. I know he wore number 4 at the collegiate level and in high school. But to me, it's like that you start to add up those things and it's like, that guy's a dog.
I actually want the story behind that now. I got to find out how quickly that happened and how it happened. That's a really good story right there. Yeah.
Can you think of, throughout, you can even look back to covering the Coyotes days, but of a player similar to Greg Dortch's rise from high school ranks to collegiate to the pros that had to scratch and claw, fight for everything that he's earned?
I've seen that at the NHL level, but in football, I see that. The other thing about hockey is there's smaller guys can succeed in hockey. It doesn't require that size necessarily. You can have small, quick guys, but there's such a premium put on size, right, in the NFL, and I think sometimes these guys don't get an opportunity because of it. But again, he keeps knocking down doors with what he's doing. He obviously did it at Wake Forest. He hasn't really had the opportunity to do it yet at this level, but they moved 2 guys out. Right? So it's his job to win right now. It's his job, as I said, to write in Sharpie instead of pencil when he gets the opportunity this season.
It's like he had to bang 2 coaching staffs over the head with his play. Like we did it in 2022. Johnny and I went through this song and dance. We're watching him at training camp. We're watching him in preseason, and he's making plays. Like, oh, Dortch is going to make this roster. And we're like, well, Dortch should probably vie for some playing time. He gets playing time, and then Rondale Moore, inevitably comes back from injury, so he goes back to the bench. And then Rondale Moore gets hurt again, and Dortch comes back and performs. And then it's like, well, JG and Petzing, they're not going to make the same mistake. And as Johnny unearthed like last week, how many yards Greg Dortch had through how many weeks, Johnny? 10?
Yeah, he had 1 yard.
Yeah, 1 yard.
Now, I do think that was a byproduct of no Kyler Murray and, and Joshua Dobbs. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty wild. And here's what I'll say, Craig, and you probably get a good sense of this when you hear Kyler Murray talk, is that I use this example. We brought it up on the show. Greg posted a photo of himself on Instagram, throwing a ball up in the air from like the Cardinals media photo shoot, right? And there were 3 comments down below, one from Kyler Murray, one from Marvin Harrison Jr., and one from Michael Wilson. And it just shows you the respect that his teammates have for him. Not that never happened with Rondale Moore, but if it did, like I don't remember that. But you can tell he has earned the respect of the most important people of that locker room.
Yeah, you're definitely hearing it from all corners. And you guys brought this up earlier, but we've seen this so many times in the league. If there's a higher paid guy there or a higher draft pick, they get the benefit of doubt in this league so often. I've seen it play out a million times in the NFL, but eventually play will play out. Greg Dortch has earned this spot. And as we mentioned, both of those other guys, they're gone now. So he's got a really great opportunity this season.
Yeah, we already kind of kicked this around, but I think we will definitively rank as far as how we think the offensive hierarchy is going to go and how that ball is going to be spread around. Like you get the 4th overall pick, an MHJ. You got Michael Wilson, who's poised. We had Trey McBride. As you asked him, is 1,000 yards attainable? And he's like, oh yeah. And then, James Conner and the emphasis on the run game. It's really going to be fascinating how this pans out.
Yeah. Trey McBride's another interesting one. I'm going to dive into that story for next week. I told you, Bo, I don't want to give it away, but I've got a fun angle on that one as well. But yeah, he's being, among the elite tight ends already and hanging out with them, at that recent event. It's pretty cool to watch his rise as well. You wonder what he's capable of and what his place will be in this franchise's all-time history of tight ends when it's all said and done.
It's wild. When he's not breaking national hockey news, he's writing the best Cardinal content you can find. Go PHNX.com. Our own Craig Morgan. Check out his most recent article, Untouchable. Greg Dortch aims to cement permanent role in Cards offense. Craig got a permanent role with us here each and every week on PHNX Cardinals. Take care, my friend. Talk soon.
All right, guys. I'm going to take my giant head out of here.
It's the off season. We can have a good time in living rooms and laundry rooms and backyards. Somebody for DNVR not too long ago was doing a live show from a pool. So
it's true.
That's what you do when you're not in season. You just get the vibes. You do the vibes.
Some good vibes on this show right now. We got Craig, we got Damon, Dawg, Johnny Venerable, and a team on the rise in the Arizona Cardinals. Yeah, tomorrow. I think we do it. I think we try to do what Kyler Murray is going to have to task with, and it's champagne problems, I think, with this offensive playmaker set. Who the hierarchy of who gets the ball? Who does he prioritize getting the ball to?
I'll tell you, a big priority for me on top of watching Cardinal football is doing it in style with my friends at Shady Rays. You heard the story by now. I was in Hawaii. I lost my Shady Rays to the elements in Hawaii, but I went to the shore, pulled out my smartphone. I ordered a brand new pair of Shady Rays. I got 35% off. And now, again, it's the only pair of Shady Rays, only pair of sunglasses, frankly, I rock. That's because more than 300,000 people have rated it 5 stars, shadyrays.com. And again, buy premium sunglasses. If not a premium price, you got me sold. I wear my sunglasses everywhere, in my car, at home, in the backyard, in the pool, in the gym, whatever. I got shades on. I want them to last. And unless I'm losing them, they're staying right on point. And again, 35% off. I think I paid sub $40, including shipping. Here's the best part. Try it for free now. If you don't like the pair you get, send it back for free. Try something else or get your money back. Again, Shady Rays is here to provide you crystal clear optics. It's a perfect choice for all indoor and outdoor activities, but you got to find them online. PHNX is the bonus code for that sweet 35% off. Try for yourself. The shade's rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. ShadyRays.com.
It's a shame that you can't get 35% off trying to get your dignity back after the waves threw you around. Dominated your boy, Johnny Venerable, out there in Hawaii. But look, also nice little accessory to maybe the beach or just enjoying some warm weather is OG's. Actually, it's the perfect accessory for really anything. You can find an OG's delicious gummy for any moment. They're soft, they're bouncy, they're delicious, they're cannabis gummies, and they're cooked up right here in our great state of Arizona. Check out everything that is OG's World right now on their website, ogsbrands.com. That's OGEEZ brands.com. They got an Illinois location coming too. I know we got Illini McGee in the chat. You're going to be able to find some OGs in your local dispensary as well. Look out for that and learn more. Be educated on their delicious gummies right now on their website. Follow them on your socials as well. Check out Peg's RSO. Check out the Happy Balance. Check out the fruits. Check out the creams. Check out the nighttime sleep time gummy. All of it from our friends at OG's Brands. Got to be 21 years or older and enjoy them responsibly.
Get to some of these super chats here. We got almost 400 people watching on a football Wednesday in the offseason. God bless you all from the football gods. Like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. Almost to 30,000 subscribers. Johnny's fourth bathroom hot dog says 250. Look at that photo too. Oh my goodness, I love it so much. Come on, Johnny, boot and rally for the 999. Listen,
man,
as we get closer, I am in a little bit disbelief that we are just 3 days away from the 999 challenge in Chase Field. I don't want to throw up. I don't anticipate throwing up, but I will do my best to ensure that I put on a respectable showing. That's my goal, is to come back, hold my head up high with the diehards.
I don't know where you find a picture like that for our podcast listeners out there. It's a hot dog underneath a stall.
I think that was taken. I think that was maybe taken from Johnny's fourth bathroom hot dog for this show. I think that's an authentic photo.
Okay. It's I don't want to know the origin story of that, to be honest with you. Let's keep it going with these super chats. The realization did kick in for me this morning too. I'm like, oh my God, this thing is actually happening days from now. We got our used salesman jumping in, $4.99. Hypothetically, other than K1, who do y'all think on the Cardinals has a chance to be considered or MVP? Loving the podcast, by the way. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat, $4.99. I mean, it's a quarterback award. I think, outside of maybe Adrian Peterson winning it at one point, you very rarely see, like, even David Johnson, when he had 20 touchdowns, was barely in the, I think he was throwing like a token, like third place for MVP vote.
I'll counter that. I'll counter your Kyler Murray is not well liked by the national media, and that would hurt him. I could see that working against him and working for Marvin Harrison Jr. Like if the Cardinals had a monster year and Marv led the NFL in receiving, and people said, I just don't like Kyler Murray, I'm going to vote for Marv. That's the only way I could see it happen. Like Marv is a rookie wide receiver winning at league MVP. But to your point, there's just nobody else that would qualify.
Yeah. I mean, say we get full 17 games from James Conner, which has never happened.
You'd need 30 touchdowns. You'd need something like that. You need LaDainian Tomlinson 30 touchdowns.
Yeah. Bees, $2 super chat. Greg embodies what JG and Monty want the culture to be. No doubt about it. There's some holdovers. It's crazy to see some of the holdovers, Johnny, that bought in and how they almost encapsulate what they want to do as an organization more than some of the guys that they've brought in. And it's not a knock on the guys they brought in. It just shows exceptional characters, some of the guys who actually were already in the building.
Yeah, I mean, it's the diamond in the rough, and the rough was Steve Keim and Cliff Kingsbury. But I do think it is ironic that Greg was not an authentic undrafted free agent signing of Austin Ford and Gannon, because he fits almost to a T what they want to do. Like it feels like if you asked a novice football fan who probably hasn't watched the Cardinals at all, and you turned on games this fall, and they saw Greg Dortch, should be like, yeah, that's a great pickup by JG and Monty. No, actually, he's been around for a while. He was just hampered by a pre-existing coaching staff that was not, I do not think an NFL coaching staff, respectfully, and a GM that couldn't evaluate talent if it was staring him right in his face. So again, we watched Greg Dortch that year put up 100+ yards against San Francisco and maybe the number one defense in the NFL in Mexico City with Colt McCoy. And the answer to that was, let's play him less, right? Let's not give him a key role, moving forward. The cream rises to the top. He plays bigger than his stature. And again, we say it all the time. If I had 53 Greg Dortches, this team would be a perennial Super Bowl contender, but they're on their way.
Yeah. DD 999 challenge, JV Bo under 4 innings and Damon Dawg under 3 innings. DD, what did we do to you?
DD's maybe he's got recent experience doing the 9, 9, and 9, because I think he does not think we're going to make it very far. He's been very critical of that.
Where's this notion that I'm going to eat less than Johnny come from?
I think that's the first I've seen of it.
We've seen with our eyes that I can't.
Yeah, you finished your steak.
I did.
That was not a competition that night, though. And this narrative is gaining steam.
Real defensive.
This narrative is gaining steam, a la the JJ. It's like the JJ McCarthy hype train. Oh, he might be a first rounder. Oh, he might be
right through that the whole time. This guy, I did.
I love Damon. He's a tremendous asset to the show and the top producer in this company. I'm competing against Damon this weekend. I'm not competing against finishing 9 innings, and I'm not competing against Bo.
Here's what I'll say, Didi. 4 innings, I will cruise to 4 innings.
Here's what I'll say. I'm competing with myself. That's what this is about for me. This is a personal challenge. I want to see how far I can get. Johnny can make this about me if he wants. That's fine. I'm glad that you think about me when you go to bed at night, Johnny.
If you're telling me right now, like Damon, let's say Damon taps out at like 5.5 and I get to 6, there's a good chance I'm tapping out. Like whatever Damon does, if I can do a little bit more, I'm just,
we
just keeping it real. When keeping it real goes right on this show, I'm tapping out just ahead of Damon.
I can't believe 7 ounces of ribeye is talking to me like this right now, Bo.
Wow. I can't believe that Damon somehow became your white whale.
Well, again, what's the general consensus on this show when we go live is Johnny is an embarrassment. He won't finish 2.5. He's a joke. He can't drink or eat. So if by default that narrative gets shifted to somebody else.
So your whole plan out of this 999 was to somehow, why wouldn't you come at me? We've been going at this.
I think it's because Damon and I, because you're putting the expectation on yourself that you're going to finish.
Oh,
so you're setting yourself up for failure as a result. And I'm setting myself up for, I have to compete against Damon and I have to beat Damon.
Damn,
I feel like that was known that
I didn't know it was like that. I didn't know it was that deep with him and you.
I'm going to use
what's the narrative if I beat Damon? What's the narrative if I beat Damon and we come on the show on Monday? What's the narrative? Well, no one's talking about me. People are talking about Damon. No one's talking about Indianapolis. No one's talking about St. Elmo's. No one's talking about any ribeye.
What do you think? You think getting further in Damon is the eraser to all of that?
Oh, I don't think. I know it is. I've been playing this game a lot longer than you fellas here at PHNX Sports, and I've seen a lot of graves dug for myself for several occurrences. This is my way out. This is my rope out.
Unbelievable.
We only got 3 more days. You gotta become a diehard. If you
3 more sleeps, man. That's it. 3 more sleeps. We wake up on Saturday. It's go time.
Ken's saying I'm just staying in my weight class. Absolutely. Very comparable. Like, Bo, who do you think stature-wise is comparable to you at PHNX Sports?
Who's comparable to me?
Stature-wise. Like Damon and I are almost the same height.
Okay.
Who do you think's Gerald? Is that what you said?
Yeah, maybe a Gerald.
Yeah, I mean he's a little bit
food.
Yeah, he girth, absolutely.
He's a tall cat.
Yeah, that's who you and Rubes. I think that'd be your competition.
Rubes used to be a little bit bigger. He was showing me some pictures back in the day.
Okay, well, good for him.
He might be able to put it down.
I love these comments here. Johnny's going to beat the allegations. I don't know if I call them allegations, but I'm definitely going to surprise people. Let's not use the term allegations. Jack Smith, hold the line, Johnny. The tide is rising. It absolutely is. Merv saying if JV beats Damon on Saturday, Damon must forfeit his producer award to JV. 100% agree. And will no longer be known as award-winning producer Damon Dawg. See?
Johnny, I'll go to my house in Tucson and get the award that I gave to my mom and my dad. And I'll take it from their their hands. I'll rip it from them, and I'll come and I'll take it to your house.
Break
Johnny.
your mother's heart.
Oh yeah,
that doesn't reside in their home any longer.
It was the one thing that made them proud of me.
Yeah. Well,
I don't want that now.
Your Little
I don't
League
want to take it from them.
It's on display with his Little League trophies and his high school football helmet.
I also
like
the picture of Damon where he's like 10 people away from Bijan Robinson on the same football team. He's like, remember when I played with Bijan?
My varsity letter.
Yeah.
Jim K, I just became a diehard in the UK to witness this. Jim K,
Let's
we
go.
appreciate you, my guy. Hope you picked a t-shirt you like from the 18 collection. We're fired up to see you in the Discord on Saturday. Let's go. Who else is joining the diehard? Let's go. Who wants to see it live? Owen saying JV going to spike their beer with Ozempic. I'm not going to do that, Owen. But here's what I will say. It would be a very timely occurrence if one or both of them got food poisoning about halfway through. Like I wouldn't hate that. Oh, I got a bad one. See ya.
That's poor taste, dude. Like that's like, hey, I'm playing this guy in fantasy. I hope he tears his ACL. That's disgusting. That type of stuff we don't like.
Oh, I hope he doesn't update his lineup. Whoopsies. Didn't remind you to sub in Justin Jefferson. He's on a bye week. That's gonna be me Saturday. I told you, dirty Ric Flair style, dirtiest player in the game.
Yeah, I'm with Junior here. Like Johnny, Damon might get disowned if he loses, man. I mean, like
big stakes.
Where have you guys been? This has been the narrative. You can't talk the talk that you both have consistently done to the head coach of this franchise. Turn the clocks back to February, March, and shame me for not finishing my stage.
Wait, you're the head coach?
No. We met with Jonathan Gannon. I was thrown under the bus and have been at least 6 months, and then dating back to last year, the Chugathon, whatever.
Yeah.
Now we're looking ahead to this weekend. If one or both of you do not beat me in this competition, it's an abject failure, and you will be shamed by the chat, rightfully so.
Yeah.
See, now it's getting real.
I feel comfortable because of the beer. That's why I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Johnny can't compete with me on that level.
Hang on.
Like, and you weren't around the company then. Like Johnny had pre-steak, it was the chug.
Yeah, no, Johnny's two most embarrassing moments are
the steak is not relevant because I was not competing. I had appetizers. Not relevant.
And he two-hand chugged the beer.
He two-handed chugged the beer.
I didn't do that either.
Poorly. And then he had a redemption tour, right? It was going all to the 2022 draft when sweet baby Trey McBride was drafted by this organization.
Because Hollywood Brown draft.
Johnny had this he was dead set on redemption. He's like, I'm going to chug a beer at our draft party downtown Phoenix. I came in. It was like my first event with the show. I chugged my beer. You and Frank Sanders. I don't know what happened with you guys.
I beat Frank. Frank couldn't finish. I beat Frank Sanders.
Me and Davian Anderson were like, who else? Who's next? And you guys.
What are you comparing this to? You're comparing it to quick hitter chugs. This is an endurance competition. I have time to prepare. The competition in Indianapolis. I thought I was getting a meal with my friends, my brethren of PHNX Cardinals in Indianapolis. And instead, I'm sitting there. What's the matter with you? You're making a face. You're right.
I just got a bad text from my wife about my son. It's gross.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I was like, what's going on here? In Indianapolis, I didn't think I was competing with anybody. I thought I was having a nice meal. I didn't think I was going to be judged. And then next thing I know, Damon's taking a picture of me and put it in the Discord. And I'm like, just trying to eat, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Look, I'm sorry that you have to kind of.
You're not sorry.
You're being shamed on a daily basis for what you thought was going to be a nice moment with the fellas, with the crew out at St. Elmo's.
I know what this is and what this, more importantly, what this isn't Saturday. This is not hanging out with the bros at Chase Field. This is a business trip
It's a fucking war.
I'm on a war path. That's right, Damon. I don't care about either one of your safeties. Thank goodness we got Espo coming so we can keep it fair and legal. But I will not be denied this weekend.
The only person I'm afraid of it not being fair and legal for is Johnny Venerable. I know me and Bo are gonna. We're men of integrity.
That's right. Like he might like if we have our beers placed on, he might kick them over.
He's gonna do the old fashioned like shot over your shoulder. Yeah. Oh God, that was a good shot.
He's gonna be actually now that he's already set that he's willing to go to the restroom. He might dip in there and come out without anything in his. Like he'll come out empty-handed. Oh,
whoops! Finished everything. Whoops! Finished everything. I need a chaperone. You come and chaperone me. That I only will retreat to the bathroom if things become dire.
Yeah, or if there's like an NFL prospect or player headed in there.
Right. Anthony Richardson's in the restroom. See you there, buddy. Hey, PHNX Cardinals, want to jump on with us? Get away from me, loser. We're fired up to welcome Jim K as the newest member of the PHNX Cardinals. Die Hard, baby. He's got a front row ticket to the Die Hard Discord this Saturday. Plus, all of the phenomenal benefits of becoming a Die Hard are just a click away. Go PHNX.com. Again, pick up a free piece of merch from the number 18 collection, which is shipping now. I am anxiously awaiting any day now. I'm getting my Marv 18 collection. On top of that, 20% off all future events, 20% off everything at the merchandise locker, free shipping. Again, the Die Hard is where it's at and perfect time to load up on your Die Hard merch and more. There it is. Discord, entrance, discounts, access. Our guy Craig Morgan drops premium content that you're going to have access to before anybody else. If you're an Arizona Cardinal diehard, if you're a PHNX Cardinals diehard, this is the place to be.
It certainly is, and Miami is going to be the place to be October 25th through 28th, PHNX Cardinals road trip. Teaming up with True Fan Travel. Join us. This is going to be an unbelievable event. It's going to be like the 999 challenge, but each and every day for 3 straight days. We'll get in. You're going to have, with True Fan Travel, they're going to get you airfare. They're going to get you to and from the airport. They're going to get you set up at a beautiful hotel, beachfront hotel in Miami. Don't want to miss out on this. And of course, tickets to the game, a tailgate party. You're going to get to meet some Arizona Cardinals alumni. You're going to have a booze cruise. It's all included with our friends over at True Fan Travel, PHNX road trip to Miami. Cannot wait for this one. More details, just go to gophnx.com/events or True Fan Travel for more info.
Fired up for this weekend. Fired up for Drew Petzing's comments mañana. We'll have all that and more here on the show, as well as PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter. Follow Bull Brack on Twitter. And I guess you can follow producer extraordinaire Damon Dawg as well. Thanks to everybody, especially our guy Craig Morgan. Check out his new work, gophnx.com. We're back on a Thursday. Johnny Venerable. We'll see you then.
We all silly like the mayor.